Welcome back to the Tiny Room, to episode 31 of Michael and Benjamin's podcast. I am Michael, and with me is my unusually dry co-host Ben.
I am so arid.
And this week we're going to be walking on eggshells for the majority.
Yes!
But let's start with some news.
Yes. Sorry, it's stuck in my head since we watched the trailer.
Oh, was that Barracuda?
Well, it was. I'm gonna do justice to Barracuda and say that it was an attempt to mimic Barracuda, because I can only hit that pitch if I don't open my mouth.
The thing about that song is, though, the only part of it I ever remember is
it's the lead up.
Barracuda.
It's quite
that's
good.
my Sharona.
Ben,
why are we talking about Barracuda?
Well, Michael, there was a teaser trailer dropped this week. And it featured someone that we're both awfully fond of.
Ourselves?
Well, we don't know her. We're fond of the portrayal of a character. It's Jessica Jones.
Jessica
Michael.
Jones.
It's Jessica Jones. We're beating around the proverbial teaser bush.
Teaser bush. Just met her. You gonna leave that in? Probably cut that out, won't we?
I've enjoyed that far too much to cut it out.
Yes. So there was a trailer.
That wasn't right.
What did you think of it?
It doesn't seem to have as much tension.
I mean, yeah. I'm not saying
it doesn't seem as subtle.
I'm not saying you're right or wrong. It could have just been clips from season 1. It looks like all it is a reassurance that Jessica Jones is coming back.
Yeah, similar to I hope that's all it is, because it doesn't seem to have kept any of its darker, grittier charm in that.
She looks cleaner.
Very sassy. I think this might be the season where Jessica gets clean.
Oh, but
because we can't have an alcoholic superhero.
But then hopefully falls back. No, I mean, she was drinking a lot in that trailer. And then she threatened Spider-Man.
But she could get in the middle, you see. You're only seeing a teaser trailer where they smash things together. This could be the big season 7 twist where Jessica checks herself into rehab and it's a whole thing.
Don't forget, David Tennant has been seen on set.
I don't know whether that's flashbacks or
post-traumatic stress.
Thing. He has a form of that in the comics. He has a form of regeneration in the comics.
Don't think they're going to go that route, though.
I hope not, because he was great. And as much as I would love to see his character back, unless the hand gets a hold of him or something as a result of the Defenders.
I think the hand are done.
Okay.
I don't think we'll ever be seeing the hand again.
Yeah, that's not such a bad thing. Not such a bad. But you see, this is the thing. Resurrection is a possibility. That's the whole problem with the hand.
That's the whole problem with you when you introduce defeating death in any bloody...
Which we've covered before, but... anyway, that picture looks suspiciously purple, by the way. Did you see the thing they ripped the brown wrapping paper off? Yeah,
that could be a relic from her Purple Man days.
Looks very purple to me.
It is in the art style of the covers of the original Alias comic book. It's not one of the covers because it's a what's her name? Kristen Ritter. It's a Kristen Ritter, not a what Jessica Jones used to look like pre-Kristen Ritter.
Pre-Kristen Ritter.
But it's definitely that style.
Wow. Also, looks like there's a new man in her life.
Oh yeah, who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Johnny Generic.
Mr. Generic.
Mr. G.B. Neric.
Nice.
That's not great.
Well, I mean, it was better than mine.
Yeah. Just in other TV news, by the way.
Sure.
After we had our Mickeys last week.
Yes.
The Mickey Awards.
Which has garnered much publicity and media attention.
And feedback from our friends on Facebook.
Oh, did we? Did we actually get feedback?
Yeah.
That's
most people are on the side of Logan and Thor Ragnarok.
Fair
enough. I think we made the right call there.
Those were two solid calls.
And for TV, Punisher seems to mostly be getting it, or the other one that I've largely forgotten. People don't like comic book TV shows.
Why? Well, I know why.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't great, aren't they?
A lot of them are shite, but that's strange.
I was at a Christmas festival last night.
Yes.
And there was a
Christmas festival.
Yeah, a Christmas festival in Selbridge. And there was a carousel. Is that what they're called?
Carousel. Yeah, you're right.
With the little ponies.
Did you get flashbacks?
I really thought.
Did you struggle?
I worried that Frank Castle's family were going to be killed, and I was going to have to break a man's face
several times. Several times.
Spoiled that.
Spoil that.
Benjamin.
Yes.
What was his name? Yes, The Gifted.
Mm.
Last 2 episodes, very good.
Oh, we're back. Damn it!
It's back. It's took a swing in turning quality.
It's so hard to keep up with this stuff at the end of the year. We've had our award ceremony, Michael. I'm not
taking back Punisher. I still think Punisher
is
the best TV show of the year.
It is.
But roll your eyeballs over The Gifted again. It's got good again.
It got good again. Got real good again.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is quite amusing.
Okay. High praise.
Yeah. Do you want to do you have a little moment?
Yeah. You segued into it really nicely earlier on. I finished Punisher.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh my god.
Very good.
Okay, so major spoilers ahead. Great setup for Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Great setup.
Smashed his face off those.
Smashed his face off, but pretty boy. Should have seen it coming. Kind of did see it coming, but everybody says that retroactive. Should have seen it coming with all the pretty boy comments and stuff like that. It would be a nice psychological.
Did you not realise that?
I kind of figured it, but I didn't know how important he was going to be. I didn't know whether he was going to do the best friend sacrifices himself at the end, which they teased when he clips the.
Yeah, but his name is Billy Russo. Billy Russo is Jigsaw.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Really?
I missed that completely.
I did a review of all the Punisher movies for you 3 months ago.
I don't think you ever mentioned Billy Russo in that review.
Sure I did. He's the main bad guy in Warzone, played by Dominic West.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't. He also acted like he was pretty, but Ben Barnes is much prettier than Dominic West.
Ooh,
that's a fact. Dominic, if you want to write into our podcast and be petty about how pretty you are, please do. But Ben Barnes, handsome man.
He's very skinny.
He's very slim, but that's in right now.
It's yeah, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I would find it hard to be intimidated by him.
He's got those moves though.
He's got
the moves.
He's got Mark Wahlberg again.
He's got those moves though. Those tasty little moves.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good series.
It's so twisted at the end. Like that's just grueling punishment. Also, Agent Orange taking a nosedive. Loved it.
Oh yeah, that was.
I am a reminder.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Even the way it was filmed, like they shake the camera with each fist bump, and you hear the sledgehammer from the start. There's so many callbacks and the loops around. Oh, I thought it was epic. It's stomach churning at points. Mm-hmm. Like my sister walked in at one point, I was like, out, because she doesn't do blood or gore.
I'm watching my snuff films. Leave me. You know you're not supposed to come in when I'm watching my snuff.
Leave me. Unfortunately, completely fell out of love with Madani at the end of it.
Oh.
She just comes in to be put out again. Like it's just like.
I don't think she will be in season 2.
I don't think she should be in season 2. I think she's
the
weakest character.
She's done professionally.
Yeah, she's but she's also the weakest character.
Yeah, if they brought her back in season 2, they'd need to contrive some sort of reason that he would need to be involved.
Well, I think Billy Russo, Jigsaw, will go after her.
Yes.
I think she's probably almost.
She'll be a Karen Page.
100%. I would imagine there'll be a line similar to, "You don't think I'm pretty anymore? What's the matter?"
Oh, of course.
Something like we'll have a whole thing.
Maybe they'll just refrigerate her from the first episode.
Yeah. One slight oversight. Mm-hmm. Nobody seems to have a memory for faces in the Punisher universe. No. And everyone's acting as if the man who has been broadcast on every channel from here to Timbuktu will just be forgotten.
He'll be fine now.
That's the one large oversight. He was the biggest story in New York not a year ago.
He can grow back his beard. Possibly what will happen is Infinity War will happen and everyone will go, "Oh, that lad with the gun who killed a few people. Don't even remember that."
I don't even remember who that is. What with aliens being real and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember when aliens came again, but this time worse.
Had that big
chin. Yeah, the big chin thing.
Here comes the violet chin. That's a Fairly Odd Parents throwback for anyone that watched that show.
Never seen it. Did you see the trailer for the Spiderverse?
No. I can already feel it. I've reacted to that very poorly.
You think so?
I've tightened.
It's an animated series.
Okay.
No, it's an animated movie.
Oh.
It's going to be an animated movie next 2018. Christmas 2018.
Oh, okay, so next year.
And it's Miles Morales.
Yeah, they've been phasing Peter out for a while though, haven't they?
It looks like Peter's still alive. It looks like he's going to meet a lot of the Spider-Mans. from the different universes.
Okay.
Maybe he'll meet a Miguel O'Hara, a Spider-Man 2099.
Who we've mentioned on the podcast.
Maybe he'll meet a Ben Reilly.
Who we've mentioned on the podcast.
Maybe he'll meet a Kane.
Who we haven't mentioned on the podcast.
But maybe he'll meet a Spider-Ham.
Oh, they like that joke every once in a while. It's like, oh, look, it's that parody from The Simpsons that we've now worked into our narrative.
No, that predates The Simpsons.
Are you sure?
Yeah, considerably.
Really?
Peter Porker.
Oh, was he part of the Howard the Duck era?
Yeah, Peter Porker, the Spider-Ham.
I see.
Anyway, that's coming out. Looks good. I think Donald Glover is doing the voice.
Oh, so they gave him a...
And it's a whole circular thing, because apparently Donald
He
Glover...
was in the running to be Black Spider-Man. At one
Miles
point.
Morales, I think is his name. I don't think...
No, but the hashtag was... One of the hashtags was Black Spider-Man.
But Miles Morales is a teen, and Donald
Glover is decidedly not.
well into his 30s.
He gets a lot of kind of little cameos, though, as a result of that. Remember, he's the...
Yeah. But even more so than that, he inspired Miles Morales, apparently.
Oh!
Yeah. By his owning of a Spider-Man pyjama.
Well, that's quite something.
Yeah, so it's very circular.
Very, very meta.
Yeah. Speaking of Spider-Man stuff...
So, Michael, welcome back to... Really my only segment.
No, Ben's Retractions.
Ben's Retractions, which has been sadly retired. We'll bring it back. No, I've just learned to watch my words more. My wording is essential now. Why would you do that?
Oh, famous segment.
It's back. It's back. This week we found out the source material for the Venom standalone Sony movie.
Boo.
Starring Tom Hardy.
No, boo.
And the first question that I have, Michael, is... Why would you do that? Why would you have a Venom movie without having introduced him in the Spider-Man Homecoming verse? It doesn't make any sense.
I think it's still in limbo of what universe this movie's going to exist in, even.
But why would you separate what is quintessentially like Spider-Man's mirror image with all the evilness and stuff thrown in, and his entire character arc is kind of this obsession with Spider-Man? What are you going to do with him now?
I don't know.
What are you going to... Well, they answered that during the week with their thing. It's going to be taken from the 1993 Lethal Protector run.
Is that the one where he ate brains?
Yes, so he ate some brains. And what happened is Spider-Man tries to teach Eddie Brock and the symbiote, who refer to themselves as we. They're a collective. As a pair. I'm just explaining for people who are listening.
I forgot the microphone.
There are other people, Michael. I'm aware that your comic knowledge surpasses my own.
Yes, considering also handsomeness.
That's for everyone else to decide.
Put up a poll!
So
Christmas poll!
It's called a candy cane. We are Venom is the traditional kind of battle cry of Venom from the 90s especially, but Spider-Man at one point tries to tackle...
Did you know that we have a...
Do we have a battle cry?
For the podcast!
For the podcast! Yeah, we do actually have that, but you're the only one who says it. I just look around and hope that no one heard us within earshot. You beam with pride. Basically the Lethal Protector run was Spider-Man tries to give him a lesson in morality and tries to teach him the difference between kind of what is right and what is wrong and what you should do with murderers and blah blah blah. Yeah. And of course Venom takes that, misinterprets it completely, and goes to the other end of the... He's like a Judge Dredd with an alien symbiote attached.
Now Ben, I have a question.
Yes.
How is Spiderman? How is that's a combination of Spider-Man and Peter. How is Spiderman going to teach him that if he's not in the movie?
Well, you see, Michael.
Yes?
Why would you do that?
Oh, that's your point.
Yeah, you see? It doesn't make any... Well, I mean, surely he can learn about morality, but I think what we're going to have is like a moral Eddie Brock who tries to teach the symbiote what to do. And I think we're going to make Venom into an anti-hero.
Oh, well, obviously.
Because anti-heroes are in right now, but I think that's really thick. I don't get why you wouldn't have Venom in his big kind of evil glory. And I think Carnage is going to appear as well.
But it's too soon.
But it's too soon. It's a lot of backstory to cram into one movie, but it hasn't stopped Sony before. So
it's like the Sinister Six again.
I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know if it's an alternate universe with an older Spider-Man where all this has happened before, but I don't know how you introduce... Is it just for comic book fans? Are we trying to introduce new people to Venom?
Are you saying we have secret news? Are you saying that Tobey Maguire has been seen on set?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
That would be great.
That would be great. But no, that's sadly not what I'm saying. But yeah, I just don't understand why this Venom standalone is happening without any prior introduction or whatever, because he's not that well known. outside of comic book circles.
He was pretty important in the 1990s Spider-Man animated series.
He was, but
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
That was so poorly animated.
I know, but it seemed great at the time.
It seemed great at the time, but I was, obsessed with Fox Kids at the time. And it was the same era as X-Men.
I'm going to edit out Fox from that sentence.
Is it not Fox Kids?
Yeah, I'm just going to edit it so you said I'm obsessed with kids.
Oh, okay. It's not great for me, really, is it?
We'll do a Skype from prison.
They won't give me enough time. I only get 30 minutes of Skype time in prison.
Oh, no, is that all?
Yeah, 30 minutes a day. Short podcast.
It helped me develop my lifelong obsession with Felicia Hardy, a.k.a. the Black Cat.
She's just fan service, buddy. You fell for it.
That's what I like.
Big old fan service ruse.
Let's move on. Ben,
you've had many formative experiences from comics.
I've just basically told you them all in this tiny room with just the two of us in a private conversation.
Next week's podcast is going to be Mick's most formative experiences to least formative experiences. We're going to rank them.
Oh, we can do that now if we want. Catwoman. They're mostly Catwomen.
Then you have two cats.
Catwoman.
You have two cats.
Felicia Hardy. Chitara. The sorceress from He-Man.
I never saw her.
Oh, so young. You, I mean, not her.
I guess. I'm going to edit that out.
Oh, no. Who's editing this week? Anyway, let's move on. Ben.
Yes.
This week's question is, what even is cultural appropriation?
Oh, okay. So, I'm gonna. We have a little disclaimer here. So, I have never been known for my sense of decorum, sensitivity, anything like that, because I generally open my mouth before I think, and so very often on the podcast I probably sound like a bigot,
or a racist,
or a twat, sexist, possibly homophobic at times.
Yeah, occasionally.
I really don't mean to come across that way,
but you do.
But I do, and I hope people don't hold it against me too much. I just like to talk. I like the sound of my own voice, and sometimes I forget to listen.
Yeah.
Having
said that,
this week's topic was my idea.
Yeah.
And it was brought mainly. It came about through my watching of the Black Panther trailer for the umpteenth time, because I'm quite pumped for Black Panther. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm
going to sidetrack you there for a second.
Sure.
I've been watching trailers of the other Marvel movies done to the music from the Black Panther trailer. It makes all trailers better.
Well, to be fair, it's an amazing song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to handle this topic as
insensitively as possible.
Well, about as well as two white middle class men can.
I'm working class. I'm a working class man.
You're Swiss.
I own a pair of work boots. I've just come from the mines.
Well, you do have coal on your face as we speak.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
See?
First foot
straight off the bat. Straight off the bat, I've mucked up.
Yeah,
look, basically, we're going to try and handle this. We think it's an interesting topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say we think that, because you agreed to do it.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, I would like to make a quick distinction.
Go on.
Between cultural appropriation and cultural representation.
Oh.
Appropriation is generally what you hear about when someone from another race appropriates culture from another race or ethnic background.
I don't believe in race, Ben.
Okay, you don't, but a lot of the rest of the world does.
I mean, should you say culture rather than race?
Well, will we say culture?
Let's say culture.
We say different cultures.
I don't believe in race. Biologically speaking, we're all one race.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll do cultures then.
Biologically speaking, race doesn't exist. There's no races of other animals.
You are a recovering scientist. You would know. Fair enough. So we'll do cultures from now on?
Yeah.
Cultures from now on. Good. So cultural appropriation is when one culture borrows culture from another culture.
Borrows or takes?
Then therein lies the debate. So, generally speaking...
Luckily, Ben, you're a master debater.
And masturbating. I love big crowds. So...
Keep saying the thing.
So, yeah. Generally speaking, that's what it boils down to. One group feels that it's okay to borrow an aspect of a culture, the most common one that's given is dreadlocks or braids. That seems to be the go-to example. And another culture often feels hard done by that. So the culture who has been borrowed from, I suppose, feels quite...
Or stolen from.
Or stolen. I was getting to that. Or stolen from feels aggrieved, or feels that they've been very offended, and naturally a whole debate breaks out and blah 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 blah. Usually it's very sensitive people,
right,
that fall prey to this particular thing, and it's very hard to decide where cultural appropriation is okay and where cultural appropriation is not. See?
Well, I mean, when appropriation is is by definition a negative word.
That was a very Porky Pig moment.
It was. So you could say cultural mixing instead of cultural appropriation in non-negative sense.
I suppose. Well, if you look at the world and the internet and the way that all culture is kind of becoming sanitized in some form or not, you know what I mean? Globalization is helping to pave all that as we go along, for better or worse.
Would you say that the relative feeling of power between the two cultures in question is part of the issue?
Oh, power dynamics are the only reason that this is a topic. I would say the power dynamics are the sole reason that this is a topic, because it's a choice of whether you get to just take what you want or whether you have to pay a due. No! I said a due. It was bad pronunciation.
No, that's how you pronounce that word in English. It's just
it was just unfortunate.
It is called a due.
It was just unfortunate.
Very unfortunate choice of words, then. Wow. So, come here for a second. Wow, that was such a shocker. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm going to have to edit this.
It's D-U-E.
I know.
Okay,
I know what you're saying. It was just very poorly chosen.
It was just very poorly chosen. So, look, we're not here to decide whether appropriation is right or not. That's not what we're looking at. What we're looking at today is, I think it would be better to say that we're looking at representation and accusations of appropriation from other people.
Okay.
Is that fair?
But what has this got to do with comic books?
Well, so I was looking at some of the feedback from the Black Panther trailers, and some people are arguing that it's mixing too many African cultures together.
Oh.
So this always reminds me of your argument regarding Chadwick Boseman, where his accent is generically African.
Yeah. I am the Prince of Wakanda.
Yeah, so it's Nelson Mandela meets Chadwick Boseman, I guess.
My issue with his accent, and I'm just going to point out that when I'm doing this accent during this podcast, I'm doing Chadwick Boseman's accent.
Very important.
Not any specific African accent.
Very important.
My issue with his accent is that his accent is inconsistent with the other Wakandan accents. Even within single conversations, like, don't freeze. And then he says, I never freeze.
Yeah.
And they pronounce freeze differently. And
his is far more South African.
Sometimes people from the same country don't pronounce things the same way.
We've got 32 counties and 32 different accents over here.
Easily. I mean, you've got a north, a south, and a west to Dublin accent as well. So
absolutely. So these things happen.
These things can happen. It's just when we see it she may well be from the palace with him. They may have grown up together, and then it's just bad acting because they haven't got on the dialogue properly and gone, let's nail this down how we say
how he sounds, or what the actual dialect is for that region. It's interesting.
I'm going to divert you for a second.
Sure.
This is a very interesting topic, but let's take a step back in time, because this is something as an Irish person. Well, this is something as a non-American that has always bothered me about Marvel in particular.
Okay, let's do it.
What bothers me about Marvel in particular is that comic book characters who are American generally come from real places, and comic book characters from not America often come from fake places.
Marvel do that all the time.
They do it all the time. So you have New York, Los Angeles, and for some reason, Wakanda.
Yeah, you can't have a...
Why not Lesotho?
Yeah, you can't have a Lagos superhero or something.
Or Lagos. Yeah. Or you have the Maximoff twins from...
From Wundagore.
Sokovia?
Well, it depends on what you read.
Yeah.
There's Wundagore Mountain, and I think it's Wundagore because it's German pronunciation, but I'm not sure.
But they're all like, or Dr. Doom from Latveria,
which is just Latvia.
Just be Latvia.
Just be Latvia.
Just let Latvia be ruled by a despotic man in a suit.
It's not.
It kind of bothers me, and I always thought it was because they knew what they were writing when they were writing about America, and they obviously hadn't seen a map of Europe or Africa.
And they just came up with the nearest possible name.
Or, I mean, Latveria is just Latvia. Or
sure.
And
But I think this boils down to like a lot of... I think that's kind of the insulting thing about early comics, I guess. Especially in the case of Marvel. Because what they did was they chose a region of the planet.
Yeah.
They would give it a new name, Wakanda, Latveria, what have you. It's a very interesting Fantastic Four area, what have you.
Very good.
Because
I thought
that
was just
I just taking the
speech item,
the proverbial Mick. Yeah, and then what they did was they took the most general stereotypes of those places. So if you look at early representations of Latveria, they're all
gypsies.
They're all gypsies who do various, and they go around in hoods and
working on the farm.
They're all, and everyone else is poor, and they all look at Dr. Doom like he's a god, and like, it's
castles with lightning in the background.
It's not a flattering portrayal, and the same can be said of Wakanda. Wakanda is very primitive. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be this technologically advanced wonder play, and yet they go around in grass skirts and things like that. So it's this primitive representation of Africa that doesn't really reflect a modern Africa in the same way. Not that there aren't tribal elements to modern Africa, I'm not saying that, but generally speaking, especially in the early iterations, they took all the stereotypes they could find. Like any Ireland representation in Marvel Comics had thatched roofs and pipes. We all had pipes.
A Wellington boot.
And shillelaghs.
Yeah. Fucking shillelaghs. Fuck off, shillelaghs! But obviously, I wonder why they didn't make up a fake country like Ireland.
Emeraldia.
Yeah, or England. No, that's real. Iceland. No, that's real as well.
No, it's real as well.
Doesn't matter. Do you think it was disrespectful? We probably could have researched this. Do you think it was disrespectful that they made up these places because they thought no one will notice? Or do you think it was an effort to be a bit more respectful by making up a fictional place that you could make up things for without insulting actual people?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to look at Stan Lee in this because he came up with the Black Panther in we just give you a quick background. 1966, Fantastic Four issue 52, the Black Panther makes his first appearance, and anytime you see the Black Panther, he is coming from Wakanda to America. He very rarely has stories that feature in his own country or anything like that.
In the early runnings.
Yeah, in the early runnings, he's always visiting America for one reason or another to do different things. Obviously, when it came out, there was a huge backlash against the character, saying that Stan Lee aligned himself with the Black Panther movement.
I thought the Black Panther came out before the Black Panthers.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Okay, I think he did.
What year was the Black Panthers? I'm gonna have to check that. Okay, I'm possibly wrong on that one, but anyway, eventually, maybe it wasn't instantly after the character, but eventually there was a backlash against Stan Lee and Marvel Comics, saying that he aligned himself with the Black Panthers, and in response to that, Stan Lee actually changed the name of the character
to the Black Jaguar,
the Black Leopard. Close enough.
I remember that.
Sorry, the battery on my computer is very low because I was a tit and didn't plug it in.
There we go.
There we go. So, very professional. But they changed his name to the Black Leopard to distance themselves politically. So I think if you look at that incident, you can see how sensitive Stan Lee was towards being political in any form. And that might explain why, rather than comment on other countries and their state, their power structure, he makes one up. And then if anyone goes, hey, you can't comment, and he can go, well, it's not a real place. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I think that might be some of the reasoning. Obviously, I can't. This is all speculation and my opinion. But I would imagine that if you look at that incident where he changed the name of one of his superheroes just to avoid the political connotation, it's quite significant.
Who doesn't like Black Panther?
Who doesn't like Black Panther?
Yeah. Is it African people? Is it African Americans?
So I think the movie is getting shtick because it generalizes African culture
into one big thing.
So you often see
un melange.
Yeah, exactly. They turn it into a melting pot, but not the good kind. Where any kind of stereotype will do, and you can slap it on. So a couple of things that are cited from the trailer are the very colourful village. At one point, you see all the painted things. Yeah. That is from a specific country in Africa, but I cannot remember the name of the country. I'm very sorry. This is going to reflect poorly on me. I can't remember each individual one. Another part that they give out about is at one point you see a man with a lip plate in the green suit. Yeah, that's traditionally a female ritual, and the creators of it's not impossible in men, but it's traditionally a female attribute in particular cultures, and they have argued that this is really just a case of taking aesthetics and shoehorning them.
That would be like giving an Irish woman character a shillelagh.
Yeah, you can't do that. Only the Irish men get shillelaghs. We fought for our right to shillelaghs.
Imagine a woman in a paddy cap.
With a pipe. All her own.
A woman with a pipe. And her own moustache.
Or mutton chops. But anyway. And another incident is you see a lot of them wearing the garment, the heavy garment over the top, the very patterned kind of heavy garment over the top of their shoulders. Right. It's a famous garb from another region in Africa. And they feel that all of these being put together is kind of just shoehorning the culture. It's like, look at Africans. Like, it's just like, look at Africa.
Do you think maybe that in the movie they could say Wakanda has people coming to Wakanda from all over Africa?
I think that's what they have to say, because the source material that they've borrowed a lot of their aesthetic and work from is the most recent run of Black Panther, which is written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which I mispronounced last time apparently.
Yeah, you got it right.
But it's Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is a famous correspondent for the Atlantic newspaper in the States. He covers an awful lot of... He's, first of all, a Pulitzer Award-winning journalist who happens to write the comic. And Brian Stelfreeze, who is a famous black comic book artist. I only signify their race because they're both black.
Well, it's relevant.
It's on a traditionally black comic. But Brian Stelfreeze, argued that because Wakanda is a secret, or was a secret, it was never colonized and it never suffered colonial influence. So their tradition...
That's why they're not wearing bloody shirts.
Yeah, their traditions have lasted much longer. They've never had to abandon their previous tradition. And he also argues...
Where did they get bloody hip-hop from?
He also argues... I don't know. He also argues that it would possibly have been like a refugee point for other African cultures that were being decimated.
Oppression.
So he actually worked Egyptian elements into...
All that far.
Yeah, exactly. He took Africa as all of Africa without determining between black Africans or Egyptian Africans or anything like that, and he kind of mixed them all together. A lot of what you see is also Kirby influenced from the originals, so it's kind of hard to tell where that comes. But his vision for it, and Ta-Nehisi Coates' vision for it, is all about power dynamics. It's not a traditional superhero comic in the way that you or I would know them. There are no epic save the citizen scenes. It's all about a failing monarchy, the responsibility of a monarchy, and
like the TV show Inhumans.
Yeah, but done much better. Done much, much better. I would be never ever put Black Panther and Inhumans in the same sentence ever again. That's horrible.
What about this sentence? Oh, thank God Black Panther was much better than Inhumans.
Well, I hope that's the sentence that we get to say, but we can't say that yet. But a lot of that feedback is... there are other criticisms of the Black Panther movie. I don't know if you saw the poster where Chadwick Boseman is sitting in the chair.
I believe it's called a throne.
Yeah, sorry, sitting in a throne, sorry. And this was compared, when it initially came out, to a famous picture of one of the Black Panther leaders from the political movement in the States, and he was sitting in a chair with a gun. And I know, I'm not saying this. I think this is ridiculous.
The Black Panther movement doesn't have copyright on
chairs.
Black men sitting in chairs. Surely.
Neither do I. I also I don't have carte blanche on that either. But I agree with you. I don't think that it's right to say that. It's being compared to this image here. Sorry, it's easier to see it that way.
It's just a man sitting in a chair.
Just a man sitting in a chair. It's very silly, and obviously the extreme conservative right wing in America went, "Oh my God, you're promoting militant, political movements and blah blah blah." So they had a field day with this particular promotional poster. I think it's been pulled since. I think it got so much criticism that people just went, "Okay, we'll take that
for
away."
the tiny room.
Yeah, which is not great, we should get it for the tiny room, but we're going to run out of walls because, as we've said before, this is a tiny room. Thor.
Small room.
I don't think you want to get a Justice League poster anymore.
I don't think Alex Ross painted that poster.
Did he not?
I don't think so. I think it's just real life people lit to look like an Alex Ross poster.
That's not great.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Interactions.
Yeah, I'll put it in next week.
Let's talk then,
yeah,
very briefly, about other incidences of cultural appropriation
or representation, misrepresentation,
or misrepresentation, or whatever you want. Do you have any more to say about Black Panther before we move on?
No,
because my thoughts on Black Panther is let's wait to see.
I think that's probably the most essential thing that we could do. But let's take a look at misappropriation or misrepresentation in other fields.
Right.
I'm sure you have something to say.
Well, I mean, right. Here's the thing, right? It's all, as far as I'm concerned, about the cultural appropriation thing. It's all dependent on. Well, first of all, personally speaking, I have a policy of not being offended by things.
I think it's fair to say of both of us.
So, no, I mean, but even cultural things. Let's say, for example, that a popular TV show was to set an episode in Ireland and be borderline racist.
Full on racist.
Yeah. Lots of drinking, fighting.
Dogs.
Why dogs? Wife beating?
There was a hint to that.
I've never heard of Irish.
I didn't know that we had this reputation for beating wives.
No,
we do.
Apparently.
In that America. But
yeah, that's bloody news to me.
It's hurtful.
Are we talking about The Simpsons?
No, I was talking about something else. Well, no, you go Simpsons and I'll tell you my thing.
Well, the Family Guy did it too.
But very recently. There was a really recent incident of this. Saturday Night Live with Saoirse Ronan had done the infamous, at this point, Aer Lingus sketch.
Oh, I watched that.
It wasn't offensive at all.
No.
I didn't think. I thought it was silly.
Yeah.
I thought it was bad. I thought the accents were terrible.
One of them gave it a good shot.
Oh no, she was good. Cecily Strong was decent.
Strong.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
And there's a reason she was the one that did the majority of the speaking with Saoirse Ronan and her Irish voice, which I really enjoy. But yeah, I don't think it was that offensive.
You see, this is kind of what I'm getting at.
And Ireland has been outraged. There's all these columns and opinion pieces being written about it. And I'm just like, get over it. It's a sketch show, lads.
Yeah, build a wall.
Get over it. And she's had to come out and defend it. And I was like, Jesus, Saoirse.
Yeah, so...
It's not your fault.
First of all, people who are professionally offended. Ugh. But
Not
I think
us.
in a lot of ways The Simpsons was worse than that sketch. At least an Irish person was involved in that. It was a gentle ribbing.
Ooh.
Like, there's a big difference between we had to stop the plane because there's a dog that has the soul of Oscar Wilde.
That was very strange.
That is the kind of absurdity.
Why dogs?
I quite enjoy, to be honest with you.
Why dogs?
But that's a whole other thing by painting a whole nation as wife beaters.
Yeah, true.
But
Family Guy did it too. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, again, being Irish, we're in a kind of slightly unique position in that Irish people in America were poorly treated.
Yeah, same with Italians.
Yeah, not to the extent of Native Americans.
No, we were never subjugated.
Or African Americans. We were never subjugated
in America. Sorry. Yeah, that's quite important.
My family are mostly French, so I mean...
I don't know where my family are from, but we're probably not pure Irish.
No, probably not. Anyway, so there's a big thing about intent if you're borrowing something because you think it's cool,
that's quite different.
Or if you're borrowing something to make fun of it. The problem is often people borrow something because they think it's cool and don't know why.
Yeah, I had an interesting kind of, I don't know, I was trying to research this topic before we did it, because obviously I'm the least sensitive of us, completely by my own idiocy, more than anything else. It's ignorance more than anything else. But when I was looking at this, it's interesting how I think African culture, Latino culture, in that regard, is quite staunchly defended by people, whereas Irish culture and Italian culture has not been. You can often make an Italian stereotype about, Italian men. These are stereotypes, they're not mine. But, if you were to look
greasy.
They're very, black hair, they wear a wife beater.
Grey hair with tan.
Yeah, they constantly talk about their mother.
Sip espressos.
They love their mother's cooking. But even if you look at what they eat, it's all, pasta and stuff like. There's never, and nobody goes, oh my god, that's so racist. And it's the same with Irish people. We drink, we fight, we eat potatoes.
We beat our wives.
Yeah, we beat our wives apparently, but nobody gets up in arms about that.
But that's what I'm saying, because those groups aren't traditionally repressed.
This is exactly what I was getting at. Whereas when you understand that kind of very dark past that other cultures have, in particular Mexico and Africa as a continent. Not Mexico as a continent. Mexico as a country.
Mexico's not a continent.
Africa as a continent. You have to you can understand why people get a little more sensitive.
I know, and then you have the thing about Ireland again. Ireland for a long time poorest part of Europe, and
we could have had our own little Latveria,
right? And not a big history of black slavery in Ireland. So,
big history of European slavery.
Yeah, lots of slavery.
We love a little bit of European slavery around here.
But let's say an Irish woman gets dreadlocks. Is that all right? It's not like Ireland has a deep connection with.
It's strange, isn't it?
It's a weird one. I saw a great clip of a Maori Rastafarian politician resigning from or finishing his term in the New Zealand Parliament.
Okay,
I largely watched it because he sounded like Korg.
Oh, excellent!
I found it quite funny.
Did he say "piss off, government"?
Basically, yes. It's very enjoyable. I'll send you the link. But a lot of then race bait war about the fact he had dreadlocks even though he wasn't black, and then other people saying he's a person of colour, he's a Maori, and then others saying he can't understand it because he's not a true African. It's a whole mess.
I mean, this is the thing, right? This boils down to what way you look at it. If you're having that argument that only African people can have dreadlocks, you're relegating the rest of the world to nothingness. Dreadlocks were on coins in Roman coins.
Well, you're hitting
coins.
An issue here of it's basically who takes credit for something first.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, what's it got to do with comics?
Sorry, yeah.
Here's some more cultural appropriation.
This has not been a comic podcast.
Here's some more cultural appropriation.
Sure, tell me more.
Thor.
Nobody bats an eyelid at that, do they?
Not a lot of Scandinavians, but no Scandinavians aren't that pleased with the way Thor is treated as a comic book character. Because he's very different.
No red hair.
He's a kind of Aryan Superman. They took the depiction of him from the period of history when things were becoming Eurocentric.
When Hitler had a little look-see and was like, oh, look, Scandinavian.
Well, yeah, I know. That's worrying. The whole thing about having to be worthy to have a hammer, that's not Scandinavian at all.
Nope.
Sacrifice, redemption, none of that's very Scandinavian.
No.
So a lot of Scandinavians not that fan. Then also you start getting into what's the difference between cultural appropriation and it's just a stereotype. And
that's what I mean, representation. That's why I was arguing representation earlier.
So I have two superhero teams here. They're both Marvel again.
Okay.
Who are bloody ridiculous.
Okay.
Big Hero 6.
Yeah, very silly.
But look at the bloody makeup. So they're the Japanese super team.
Yeah.
You have one guy who flies around with a Japanese flag, and he has the powers of fire. So he's literally a rising sun.
Oh.
You have another guy who is a samurai.
Is he silver?
Silver samurai. Because as you know, samurais, they're from Japan.
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You've another guy who's a tech genius, because you know what the Japanese are like.
Oh, they love a bit of tech.
Exactly. You've a guy who turns into a kind of a Godzilla type of thing. Because you know...
Gojira.
You know what the Japanese, they like a...
They love a big monster.
So, it's just like... I don't know if you could say making a samurai character is cultural appropriation. But you could.
You could, absolutely. But I don't know whether it's a bad thing. That's the thing. Like, you really have to gauge the reflection of people from that culture. I think what often happens in these moments is that other people jump in and start defending the culture without having checked with the culture. Like, there's an interesting thing, specifically Japanese-wise. Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Okay, that was straight racist, but fair enough.
That's how the Japanese people said that name.
But anyway, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
Go on.
She wore a kimono
in
a promotional photo shoot at one point.
Quite sexy.
Of course, you think that. And people who love BuzzFeed lost their fucking minds.
Fuck off, BuzzFeed.
And loads of Americans lost their mind. Predominantly white Americans lost their mind, who said, you can't do that. They went to Japan, showed this photograph to Japanese people, and did quite a lengthy national survey on this. It was in all the papers, and they wanted people to write in and tell them what they thought. Most Japanese people are like, it's nice that our culture is getting representation in other countries.
Do you think they would feel the same about Silver Samurai?
I don't know, but this is the thing. I think what happens very often is that America decides to get outraged about something. And fair enough, Marvel and DC and the kind of people that borrow from other cultures is a predominantly American-based company. Not anymore, but, you know, comic books are... Superhero comic books are American.
Basically.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are allowed to get outraged over there, and then they kind of forget that the rest of the world exists. I think it's usually descendants of those cultures in America that have a big issue with it. I don't know if you'd have... I would love to know how Africans feel about Black Panther the movie.
Do they even know that it's coming out?
That's what I mean. Like, are they aware that this is being...
Do you think it's more relevant to Africans than African Americans?
That's a hornet's nest.
That's a kettle of fish, isn't it?
That's a hornet's... Well, I mean, you could look at it... Okay, so to put my foot in it, because I'm good at it...
Good man.
Luke Cage is very much for African Americans.
Yes.
Harlem is the core of a lot of African American culture, like New Orleans and other places like that. And those two distinct realms of African American culture are represented, one by Luke Cage and the other by what's his name? The guy that gets killed in the middle. Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth is kind of a typical Southern, you know, dresses very well, and then Luke Cage is the son of a minister, and they're both from the South, and they both move up to Harlem, which is exactly the narrative that happened when black people started to migrate towards the North to escape, you know, all the backlash from ending slavery. Good job, Lincoln. But that's very much for African Americans.
He didn't free all the slaves.
He didn't free all the slaves. No, he did not. But we're not getting into that today because that's not our place. Whereas I think much more of an attempt has been made to... Because Black Panther doesn't sound American.
No, he's African.
But that's interesting, isn't it? Because in the comics he has perfect English with no accent.
Yes, because he went to school in...
He went to school in America.
Or England somewhere.
He was yeah, so it's choices have been made here. And I think it's a great thing. But it's also directed by an American man. Ryan
And
Coogler.
mostly American and English actors.
Yeah. So, like, but it's just...
Is Lupita Nyong'o, she African?
I couldn't say. I don't. It's an awfully African name, but I don't know.
So anyway, I have another...
Yes, sorry, keep going. Sorry, I keep coming back to the same.
Alpha Flight.
Oh...
Bloody hell. So there's a man...
Oh, Canucks.
There's a man who flies around in a Canadian flag.
Oh, Jesus.
Because you always have to have a man flying around in a flag. Then you've a woman flying around in a Canadian flag.
Really?
Yeah, his wife.
Oh, okay.
Then you have a literal Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You have Snowbird. She's a
native...
an Inuit goddess. You have Shaman, who's a a First Peoples native Canadian.
I got that.
Native Canadian healer. Oof. You have Puck, because the Canadians, they love hockey.
They love hockey.
They love a hockey.
Is he a person of shorter stature?
He's a midget.
I didn't say that.
Yes. Whatever was the culturally appropriate thing to say in the 70s. So Ben, this is my issue with a lot of American comics, that when they're doing teams from other places, when they have an American team, they're just people with cool powers and cool abilities. But when they do teams from other countries, they just do a group of stereotypes.
Yeah.
So in honor of that, I have created a team of Americans.
Oh yes.
I've done you a little picture. I've created a team of Americans. Okay. This is going to be good.
This is a surprise bit. I had no idea this was here.
I've created a team of Americans
with American appropriate superpowers.
Yes, exactly. So this is what an American superhero team would look like if it was designed by an American who had never been to America.
Excellent.
If you get me.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's our superhero team.
Oh, Jesus.
We have here Colonel USA.
Colonel USA.
Yes, you'll notice that he has a soldier, and on this he has a shield, and on the front of the shield he has an eagle.
I can see that.
Yeah, I haven't drawn the eagle in yet, but I'll do that later. And he has an American flag on his chest there, and he has the letters USA on his head. So he represents the man in a flag.
The man.
You have to have a man with a flag. Then over here we have Johnny Two Guns.
Is he a cowboy, Michael?
He's a cowboy.
He's a cowboy.
You can tell because he's wearing a rawhide vest. He's got two special abilities. He's got a magic lasso that he can use to lasso any old steer.
Nice.
Yeah, and he has 2 6-shooters.
I see.
Both of which, mysteriously, can fire 7 shots.
Oh.
I don't know what that implies.
It doesn't matter. It sounds exciting.
Then here we have Fanny Pack. That's the woman's name. Fanny Pack, as you can see, is a larger lady.
She is. I thought her name was Laverne.
No, it's Fanny Pack. She looks like a typical American tourist abroad.
She does.
She's brash. She's loud.
Are those curlers in her hair?
She has curls in her hair. Yes, she's opinionated. And as you can see here, it's a coincidence. It's a Stan Lee level coincidence.
Okay.
Her name is Fanny Pack. Fanilda Pack.
Fanilda Pack.
Yes, and she has a mystical fanny pack. It could be mystical or it could be technological, but her fanny pack can contain anything that you need. So she can reach into
so
her
she's
fanny
like
pack.
a diabetic Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or a slightly less racist, what's her name? Honey Sugar?
Honey Boo Boo?
No, the character from Big Hero 6 who has a magic purse.
Oh, lemon
honey?
Lemon honey or something like that.
Yeah,
honey lemon.
That's
ridiculous, my God.
Over here we have Thomas Gunn, aka Tommy Gunn. He's from Chicago, as you can see.
As I can see.
And he wears a pinstripe suit.
I can see that.
Tommy used to have a brother called, what else can be shortened to Tommy? Not Thomas. Tomabold, and he was killed.
In a mob, so that's his tragic backstory.
And a mob hit, but when his brother was killed, his spirit possessed his Tommy gun. So now he has a Tommy gun which never misses. Over here we have La Girl. It's L.A. Girl, but people often misinterpreted that as La Girl. She's quite tanned.
Tall and tan and young and lovely.
She's wearing a very revealing suit, as you can see here.
I can see that.
Her powers are the ability to shriek so loud that it deafens people.
Oh my God.
Exactly, that's it, exactly.
Nice.
And then finally, we have Thunderbird from the X-Men.
Who already exists.
Yeah, he just already exists.
And he's just really racist.
And he's plenty of stereotype enough for the team.
Michael, I'd just like to confirm for the listenership, you do have a significant other.
Yeah.
So don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, he's not going to die alone. It's surprising given the amount of time and effort that's been put into this team.
Look, about 15 minutes. It's not that good. I mean, you can see that Fanny Pack was a bit of a rush.
Fanny Pack was a rush because she's existing. It's more MC Escher. Her leg is existing in one space. And
the idea here was that she had forced her way between
Those are
so there's a bit of a
thunder
shove.
thighs.
She's like an American tourist in a queue.
She's shoving. She's pushy. She's real pushy.
Yeah. She's kind of shoving her way past the.
Is her hidden superpower that she compares everything to back home?
Yeah, I think that's one of her defining characters.
It's not like that back home.
So yeah, that's Thunderbird. That's a pretty good Thunderbird, actually.
It's pretty decent. I've seen some pretty poor Thunderbirds in my time. That's pretty good.
So that's my strike back against
all right.
stereotypes.
I like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that ends two white men discuss issues that don't really relate to them. That's what we're renaming the podcast, and we're sticking to it. Let us know what you think, especially if you're from any of the cultural backgrounds that we mentioned. We would like to hear. Please do so respectfully. We're very well. I'm very sensitive. Michael can take it.
I'll take whatever you got.
But I can't take it. Yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the Black Panther trailer. Sorry.
That's why he has no feet, because he's spectral.
Oh, he's spectral in origin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've just thought of that now because I forgot to draw feet on him.
We've added that there. Let us know what superpowers you think your American stereotype team would have and where they come from.
Yeah.
And finally...
if you're from Greece, would you have a character who throws plates at people?
Oh, God. And eats a lot of calamari.
Is that a Greek thing?
I don't know. It's the kind of cultural misstep that would make it in, though, isn't
it? You can contact us on Twitter, can't they, Ben?
They can contact us on Twitter. They can contact us on Instagram, which is my personal favourite.
Yeah.
Or you can get in touch with us by Facebook. Yeah. Because apparently people are doing that now.
Yeah. Or just send us an L straight Gmail at michaelandbenjaminspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and for anyone offended, sorry.